as missionaries when she became terribly, gravely ill. And she went in for treatment there in the Philippines and was loaded up with lots of heavy drugs to get her through this illness. About the time that she came through the illness okay, she discovered that she was probably pregnant and had been pregnant during those treatments. The doctors there in the Philippines implored her, begged her to abort the child, and so much so that they were even trying to convince her that it actually wasn't a fetus in there, that it was probably some kind of a tumor or something. And she had such a heavy commitment to the Lord and such a strong faith that she denied that choice and went through with the pregnancy and gave birth to a little boy named Timothy. And you all know him as Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was supposed to have been aborted, according to the medical professionals there in the Philippines. And aren't we thankful that he wasn't? What a fun season we had this year because of him. You know, the option of abortion is something that's it's traumatic, but it's a very real option that is put before the women of our community. And we proudly support and partner with Choices Pregnancy Center up here because of the mission statement that they have to help young women and young men and women that are in crisis through the crisis times and show them that choosing life is the better way. It's the less painful way. It's a less painful way. I want to invite Scott up here. You all know Scott. Scott's a member of our church and has been for quite some time now. And Scott is an author. I don't know. Has anybody picked up Scott's book and read it? Okay, there's a handful of us that have. Scott's written a novel called Grandpa's Hook. And it's a great story. One of the reasons it's a great story is because there's a character in there with my last name. He named a character after me. Isn't that really cool? There's a young lady in this book that becomes pregnant and is struggling, going back and forth, trying to decide if she's going to keep the baby or abort the baby. And the book explores her journey as the pressure is put on by Planned Parenthood. And then she's also walking into a Choices Pregnancy Center kind of environment. She's going back and forth. And then there's a grandfather that decides that he's going to take out an insurance policy on this unborn child, and therefore a court case ensues. And it's a fun journey. But what's really great about the book is the amount of information that Scott shares with us about abortion and the truth of abortion. It just highlights a lot of things in there. The reason that Scott wrote this book is because abortion is very near and dear to his heart. And I'm going to get you a microphone here. Scott, would you just briefly share your story with us? I hope that worked. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go.
On. Hi, folks. Brian called me yesterday and asked me to do this, and at the time I was in the midst of a terrible fever and sickness, but God has enabled me to be here today. So praise Him. My testimony was that I was a fifth child myself, and a little bit of background to the time that I was born. My next oldest brother was 4 years older than myself. So the fourth child had been born, and after that, my mother began to want to get a divorce. My parents did not know the Lord, very secular household. My mom could see that my father was having issues with faithfulness. It's the great way to say that. But she began to want to get a divorce. She began to feel more hopeless and helpless through time. And she was finally, in the years preceding, I mean, she said, only in the last 5 years have I learned a lot of this information. She talked about the fact that she was just growing more depressed about the fact that she was in a loveless marriage. So she wanted to get a divorce, and lo and behold, her fifth child came along. She found out she was pregnant with her fifth. And she felt extremely trapped in a very hopeless situation. And she flat out wanted to get an abortion. One of the issues with this was the timing of this. It was 1968, and abortion had not yet been legalized across the country. Many of you may well know that abortion was legalized in 1973, but in 1968 it was still illegal. There were abortions being done illegally. My father was a physician, was an MD, so my mother knew of ways to get an illegal abortion. But because it was illegal, she did not want to go that route. She did have another route that she wanted to go. However, she was so hopeless that she wanted to kill herself. She said, I felt the most suicidal I ever felt was when I found out that I was pregnant with my fifth. So there was still that option. But for whatever reason, she said I was a very easy pregnancy, and that made it easier to go through with it. She chose not to kill herself. That seemed more palatable for her at the time. She chose to have this baby. And then, ironically enough, I did not learn most of this information until after God had given me this story for a pro-life novel. I spent 5 years studying and writing and rewriting this novel from 2003 to 2008. Came out in 2008. Something Brian may not know that I wanted to share. All 5 of my children were born after a time when the doctors told my wife that we had a 50-50 chance of having a Down syndrome baby for every single one. My wife, bless her heart, she looks very young. She had our first child when she was 37. All 5 of our kids have been had after my wife was 35. Our third, Laura Ann, we were told that because of an abnormality in the water in my wife's uterus, that there was a 75% chance that our third child would have brain damage. And it was a secular doctor who basically said, you'd be better off getting an abortion. Lala was the little one that sang the duet with Brian's Benjamin at the Christmas play. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Laura Ann. Of course, we would have never chosen that. But as I see my own posterity of my own kids, I always think about my mom's choice. As the video said, it wasn't just the choice of 20 hands and feet, it was 100 more hands and feet that came to be on this earth because of the choice that my mom made. And of course, the choices that we all can make. So just want to let you guys know, currently, a screenplay for this story was written by myself and a friend named David Holland. It has been seen around Hollywood. David Holland lives in San Diego. He has bantered the screenplay around Hollywood. Still getting nothing but no's at this point, but we're just praying that maybe God will open up a door for this story to be shared in even a cinema capacity, because God flatly told me to do it, and I obeyed, and now I spend most of my time taking care of my kids and working with troubled youth myself in fatherless environment. I think that's what my past has brought me to, is wanting to father the fatherless myself. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Good. Thank you, Scott. Wow. What a story. What a story. Well, Grandpa's Hook, great story. If you enjoy reading novels, check with Scott before you leave today, and he, I'm sure, will get you a copy of that. And you will find that my character is the judge, Judge Troxell, if you can believe that, who tries the court case. So it's neat. Join with me, Psalms 139. Book of Psalms 139. This is David writing this psalm. O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. Let's pause there for a moment. Ponder what he has just declared. It is profound. He knows everything about us. Every thought that comes into our minds, every word that we are about to speak, He knows it completely. He knows every action that we are involved in. He knows our motives. He knows the thoughts and attitudes of our heart. In fact, Hebrews reminds us of that as well. Everything about us is laid before Him, to whom we must give account. It's all out there. See, this God that we serve is all-knowing. And there's that really cool omni word that we use, omniscient. He knows everything. He knows everything about you.